Hi, I'm Tyler Hopkins, and I'm going to talk today about some of the basics of music, such as the staff, clefs and ledger lines, rest duration, and note duration. Let's start with so as you can see, the staff is the foundation upon which notes are drawn. We have 5 lines in front of us. The modern staff comprises 5 lines and 4 spaces, as you can see here, 1 through 5 and 1 through 4. Every line or space on the staff represents a white key on the keyboard. Clefs assign individual notes to certain lines or spaces. As you can see here, we have 2 clefs that are normally used are the treble clef and bass clef. Treble clef and bass clef. First, we will discuss the treble clef, also known as the G clef. The staff line which the clef wraps around, shown in red, is known as G. Any note placed on this line becomes G, as you can see here. The note on the space above G is A. G, A. The note on the line above A is B. The process continues. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh no! We just ran out of room to place notes. What happens now? These nifty little things called ledger lines will solve our dilemma. A ledger line is a line that extends the staff when we run out of room. As you can see here, we only use what is needed to write in the ledger line. So if you look closely, you can see that we only take enough to be able to show where the note head is going to be. With the ledger line drawn, we can see the place of A. A is right here. So G and A, that is an octave above this A. Next, let's discuss the bass clef. The bass clef is also called the F clef. As you can see, that F is on the line in between the 2 dots of the bass clef. We can now fill out the rest of the staff with notes. As we can see, F, G, A, F, E, D, C, B, A, G. Finally, we will discuss the grand staff. As you can see, this is many more lines than we are used to working with. There are 5 lines. So, what we will do is we will eliminate the middle line, creating 2 separate clefs. And by adding the treble clef to the top staff and the bass clef to the bottom, we can see the relationship between the 2 clefs. The middle line was represented right there, and now we have treble clef and bass clef. Notice how the 2 clefs are joined by the C note, shown in red. That is where our middle line was, but now we have eliminated that and shown 2 different clefs. This C is commonly called middle C, and it corresponds to the middle staff line on the grand staff. That is all we have for the staff, clefs, and ledger lines. As you can see here, we will now go back and go to our note duration. As you can see the 5 notes before us, we will be talking about each and every one of them today. The length of time that a note is played is called a note duration, which is determined by the type of note. As you can see, we have 5 types in front of us. The whole note is the longest note duration in modern music. As you can see here, the half note has half the duration of the whole note. As you can see here, notice the new line above it. Two half notes copy the same amount of time as the whole note. As you can see here, so this would be equal to 4, and these would each be equal to 2 counts. The quarter note is a fourth or a quarter of a whole note. So we have 4 beats, 2 beats, and 1 beat. So 4 quarter notes occupy the same amount of time as 1 whole note. 2 quarter notes equal the same duration as a half note. So we have 4 counts, 2 counts, 1 count. As you can see, we have the 4 at the top. We have 2 half notes of 2 beats added together to equal the whole note. And we have 4 1 count quarter notes adding together to equal the whole note. Notes smaller in duration than a quarter note have flags. Each flag halves the value of the note. An eighth note has 1 flag, as you can see here. It is off of the note stem, and it is a nice flag. Therefore, 2 eighth notes occupy the same amount of time as 1 quarter note. So this is 1 beat, and these are a half of a beat, as you can see here, which 2 halves equal 1 whole beat. A 16th note has 2 flags, halving the value again. As you can see here, off of the stem of the note, we have 1, 2. 2 16th notes equal the duration of an 8th note. As you can see here, we have 2 16th notes and 1 8th note. These are equal to 1 quarter of a beat. As you can see, going to that, or equaling by adding together the half of a beat, which, when added to 4 other quarters of beats, we get 1 quarter note. 4 16th notes occupy the same amount of time as 1 quarter note, as we had just talked about. Although it is possible to have notes with 3 or more flags, they are seldomly used. As you can see, this would be half of a 16th note, called a 32nd note. And this would be half of a 32nd note, represented by 4 flags on the stem. This chart displays the relationship between all note types discussed in this lesson. As you can see, we have the whole note, which is 4 beats. We have the half notes, which is 2 beats. We have the quarter note, which is 1 beat. We have the eighth notes, which is half a beat. And we have 16th notes, which are a quarter of a beat. Now add it all together, each line represents 1 whole note. So all of the 16ths in the bottom, those equal 1 whole note. All of the eighths in the second row equal 1 whole note. All 4 of the quarter notes equal 1 whole note, and the 2 half notes equal 1 whole note when added together. That is all I have on note duration. Next, we are going to slide on over to rest duration. On the screen you see above, these are rests. There are 5 of them, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Rests represent periods of silence in a measure. Also, it helps with anticipation for the next note. Each type of rest shares the duration within a certain type of note. So, as you can see here, The whole note lines up with the whole rest. The half note lines up with the half rest. The quarter note lines up with the quarter rest. The eighth note lines up with the eighth rest. And the 16th note lines up with the 16th rest. For example, both a quarter rest and a quarter note occupy the same amount of time, as you can see here. While the note would make a sound, the rest is a silent sound. To demonstrate this, let's fill a measure of 4/4 time with quarter notes. When played, all 4 notes will sound. Next, we will replace the second quarter note with a quarter rest. When played, the beat is silent. Next, let's discuss the other types of rests. A whole rest occupies the same amount of time as a whole note. It is drawn in a box descending from the 4th staff line. As you can see here, it's like an upside down top hat, but hanging off of that 4th staff line. The half rest occupies the same amount of time as a half note. It is a box ascending from the middle staff line. As you can see here, it's like a top hat sitting on the middle staff line. Like notes, rests can have flags as well. As you can see here, we have the flag on the stem. With one flag, an eighth rest has the same duration as an eighth note. Notice that they both have flags. One has a flag here, one has the flag here. With 2 flags, a 16th rest has the same duration as a 16th note. As you can see, they both have 2 flags. 2 flags, nice. Although rare, rests can have up to 3 or more flags. So we have 3 flags here. We have 4 flags here. This would be in comparison to the 32nd note. This chart represents rest duration of all rests covered in today. So we have the whole rest, we have the half rests, we have the quarter rests, we have the eighth rests, and we have the 16th rests. Now, all of the bottom 16th rests equal 1 whole rest, as well as all of the notes, as well as all of the rests in the second row from the bottom will equal 1 whole rest. The 4 quarter rests, labeled here, will equal 1 whole rest. The 2 half rests will equal 1 whole rest. That is all I have. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.